because it is fall now and because the weather is awesome, and I don't know for any other reason, but I've decided that I would like to make homemade applesauce. So I've never done this before. Just figured it might be kind of a fun thing to do. I'm getting my recipe from the Pioneer Woman, who has a show on Food Network. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I make homemade applesauce and hopefully how I succeed in making homemade applesauce, then stay tuned. This actually doesn't call for a specific number of apples. She just says a bunch. So I had probably about 7. And I've gone ahead and peeled and cored those apples. It would have helped if I had an apple corer, because she does say to cut them into 8 pieces each. So if you have one of those like combo core slicer things, that would have been really helpful. Unfortunately, I don't have one of those, so I just peeled them and then cut them around the core. So hopefully that works. Next, we do put them into a pot that is on the stove right over there. There's no specific type of apple that you're supposed to use. I just went to the local market, the produce market, and found whatever was local. But especially now that it's getting colder, a lot of apples aren't going to be in season anymore. So basically whatever you like and whatever you can find at the grocery store. Generally, I prefer a red apple as opposed to a green apple when it comes to applesauce, unless you want something a little more tart. So mine were red, but that's about all that matters. So we'll show you the next step here in a moment.
Next, you put in 1 cup of apple juice or water, whichever one you'd prefer, and then you go ahead and get a lemon ready and put in the juice of 1 full lemon, making sure not to get any seeds in there, of course. And then after that, go ahead and put in 1/2 cup of brown sugar. You can also use regular sugar or maple syrup if you prefer.
The recipe does call for a little bit of cinnamon, if that's something that you guys like in your applesauce. I love cinnamon in my applesauce, so I will be adding quite a bit of it. As far as the sugar goes, it did call for brown sugar as well, but it also said that you could add maple syrup instead. You could do regular sugar, or you could do a mixture of all of these. If you wanted to do a little bit of regular sugar and some maple syrup, you could do that. If you wanted to just do maple syrup, you could do that as well. I didn't add any maple syrup, but I did put in brown sugar, and that was 1/2 cup. Also, I am adding, like I said, some cinnamon, and then I also had some allspice. So I'm going to add some of that as well, just to kind of give it a little bit of a pumpkin pie kind of taste. So there wasn't a measurement, just kind of put it in as much as you like. I'll probably do about a medium amount of it, just because we like spice in our house. This recipe doesn't call for butter. A lot of times recipes for applesauce will call for butter, but because we are trying to be a little bit healthier and not add a bunch of extra stuff to it, no butter for this recipe. Next up, turning this to medium heat.
Next, we just want to stir the apples around in the juice and all the ingredients until it's all mixed together. You will be putting this on high heat, so it is going to combine anyway, but you just want to make sure that the apples are completely covered in the juice and the sugar and the cinnamon and everything else you put in there before you cover them up. Just do a real quick stir, because they will start to break apart, and you want them to be as intact as possible when you put the lid on the pot. So just give it a quick stir, go ahead and put that top on there, and then I went ahead and put the timer for 20 minutes. It didn't take that long, but depending on the heat of your stove, just put it for about 15 to 20 minutes.
And here is the consistency. You can see that it is starting to kind of fall apart a little bit. and it smells amazing. So I will transfer it to my older than dirt food processor. Yay, food processor. And then you can process it for as long as you want. If you want it to be kind of a thinner mixture or a velvety kind of mixture, sorry, you can blend it for a lot longer. If you want it to be a little bit chunky, you can do it for less time. So however long, just make sure you keep an eye on it. The thing about this as well is if you are planning to use a blender, try to use smaller portions in a blender at a time because it will spatter. You don't want hot apples splattering all over the place. So just put in a little bit at a time as you're blending. You can also use a potato masher, whisk, anything like that to make it smooth as well. So here we go.
And here we have a close-up of me ladling stuff into the food processor. Yikes, I'm glad I didn't get anything on the camera. So like you're seeing here, you just want to go ahead and ladle one little bit at a time into the food processor or blender or whatever you're using, just because it is very liquidy, so it will start to splatter. Like I said, there is a lot of liquid, but that actually helps it once it is applesauce. It gives it kind of a liquidy texture. It's perfect. So don't worry about having a little extra liquid in the bottom of the pot once you're done cooking those apples down. That's what you want. And so just go ahead and put that all in and then start the processing.
All right, taste test. That's the perfect consistency, perfect everything. Okay, so there's what it looks like. It does have sort of a chunk to it. I mean, it is a little bit textured, but so is the kind in the refrigerator, in the grocery store. So, plus it's real apples and yum. So I have 2 of these guys, just a regular ball jar. I'm pretty sure it will only take 1, maybe 1.5, because I did only 7 apples. If you want to do more, I mean, obviously you can do as many apples as you want with this, and it'll just make more. So, finished thoughts here. What I probably would do is I would add less apple juice next time. It is kind of a tangy apple juice taste. Of course, I also didn't get apples from the grocery store that were denser. They were a little bit softer to begin with, so it made everything kind of go by faster. It made the cooking time faster. It made it less necessary to have more moisture in them. So like I said, I would do less apple juice next time. Not to say that it's bad, it's just, that's what I do. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think as soon as, if you put it in a bowl and put it in the fridge, it will probably last a couple days. If you put it in ball jars, a canning jar of any kind, and put it in the fridge, it will last longer. Or you can can it as well. I'm choosing not to can it just because this isn't going to last long enough in my house to can. But I probably will end up doing that at some point. I think canned applesauce would be a good idea for later. So I hope you enjoy it, and let me know if you try this recipe. It's super yummy, and I will definitely do this again.
Here's the finished product. Isn't it beautiful? It's such a good color and all that. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you later.